Hi everyone. When I made yesterday's video for you, that was before before the lockdown announcement. So now that we've had that announcement and we know you're not going to be sitting exams as such, I just wanted to reassure you that you're all doing really well in terms of the progress you've made so far. But it is important that we show that I have evidence of how you've done to justify the good grades that I'm really confident I'm going to be able to recommend for you. However it's done, there may be some sort of element of in-class work that we're going to be doing after the lockdown, I'm sure, which will be used for it. But in the meantime, all the lessons that I'm putting on there from now on, I've put the facility on for you to be able to upload homework as such. Now I don't expect to see every bit of work that you've done, but for each lesson, if you could just quickly upload a little bit of evidence of some of the work that you've done, showing that you've done it and you've marked what you've done yourself. I won't be marking anything that you put up there, but I will be logging the fact that I've seen that you've done it, and I will give you some recognition for that on class charts as well, so that you can see that's happening too. And then it'll just help to make sure, give you a real reason to do the work, and so that I can see that things are going on and all that. Now if you get stuck, by all means you can either put that on a link to the class charts thing, or maybe even better, just to email me and I will continue to help you with all of that. So now just carry on with the video and the work that we're doing, and let's just see how it goes, and hopefully all will be well. I mean, it's a sunny day, so that's nice, isn't it? Okay, right, so the questions we're going to be doing today on the sheet are these ones here. So there's gaps from 4 to 6 and 11 to 21, which you've got the answers to as well, which you can download, and you can have a go at those. Now if you want to upload some of that to show me you've done that, that would be awesome. But if you find that going through what we're doing on this video today takes you a full hour, and it may well do, then that's fine, just to upload a bit of that and maybe keep some of that other bit back, make a file of it, and you can do those questions as a revision exercise maybe in a few days time or in a week's time or something like that. Right, now we are doing standard form today, so hopefully you remember what's going on. Pause the video each time you see a question, have a go at it before I show you what to do. So timesing something by 10 to the 5 means timesing by 10 5 times. So this number is going to be multiplied by 10 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have 1, 2, and I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros in there before I get the decimal point. If you want to put a little comma in there to show that's 120,000, it's fine. If you don't want to put commas in, that's fine too. If you were on the continent in France or somewhere, they would think that was a decimal point, so they would get more confused, but it's fine to do that. Right, so putting this one into standard form always begins with the first digit being that's not a 0, being in the units column. So I want to write 3 times 10 to the something, but 3 times 10 is 30, isn't it? So I've got to divide by 10, which means I'm going to have a negative power. How many times am I going to divide by 10? Well, the decimal point is going to be travelling 1, 2, 3 spaces to do it. So I'm going to be dividing by 10 3 times. So it's 3 times 10 to the negative 3. Okay, here's question 2. Give it a go. Hopefully you got something along the lines of, it'll start 4.29, decimal point always after that one there. And then how many times am I moving it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's times 10 to the 7. Writing this one as an ordinary number, this says 10 to the negative 3, so we're dividing by 10 3 times. Once gets you to there, and then there's 2 more, which is why it's 0.0036123. That's where the decimal point is. question 3. Very similar as to what we've had before, so have a quick go at those two. This one may make you take a little longer. Right, so to put this into the calculator, all you have to do is make it look exactly the same. So I'm going to open the brackets, go 8.694 times. Now there's two ways to do this. You can use this button down here, but I don't like it, to be honest, because it doesn't look as much like what it should do as if you press the X power button after the 10, which gives you the little box up there. We can put squared in there. Then you have to come out of that by using the cursor key, divide, and pop in what's there, 6.21 again times 10 to the power negative 3. And that's given me 140,000. Now we do need to turn that into standard form, so just write it down first of all, and then that'll be 1.4 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times it by 10. Okay, now that's question 3. Now I'm going to move on to question 7. Now this one we're going to do without a calculator this time, and the first thing to do is to rewrite it as divide the numbers and then deal with the powers of 10 afterwards. So we're going to do 8.69 divided by 5.5, and then that will need to be multiplied by 10 to the negative 5 divided by 10 to the negative 7. We'll deal with that bit later, but first of all I'm going to do 8. I'm going to think about what 869 divided by 55 would be first of all. So because 55 is made of 5 times 11, I'm going to divide 869 by 5 and then 11. So 5 goes once into 8 with 3 left over, 7 with 1 left over, 3 into 19 with 4 left over, and then 8 times into that. And now I'm going to divide this by 11, 11 going once into 17 with 6 left over, 11 into 63, 5 11s are 55 with 8 left over, and then 11 goes nicely 8 times into 88. So I know that that is true. So then I can use this to say that 8.69 would make it 100 times smaller. But if I'm dividing by a number, so that means divide by 100, make that answer 100 times smaller. But if I divide by a number that's 10 times smaller, that's going to make the answer 10 times bigger. So that would make it 100 times smaller, but that would make it 10 times bigger, altogether making it 10 times smaller than that answer. So that would give me 1.58. If you don't believe me, try it on the calculator just to double check. You might want to go through that once or two more times. So that's giving us 1.58 for that bit, and that'll be multiplied by, we've got 10 to the negative 5. When we divide by powers of 10 by a power, we take but because we're taking a negative, that's when you add. So that's going to be to the negative 5 take negative 7, which is the same as adding. When you take a negative, that's like adding. So from -5 plus 7 is going to get us up to plus 2. So it's going to give us 1.58 times 10 to the power 2. And you can always check on the calculator by putting it all in as well. Right, question 8. Have a quick go at that. And you should have 9.31, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 times 10 to the -3. And this one is an ordinary number, we just need to times it by 1,000. So that's giving us 7,429. Question 9, we times by 10 to the -1, so that's dividing by 10, so that's 0.52. And this one here, again, we're going to do this without a calculator. So if you've already done it with a calculator, have a go at seeing if you can do it without one. So we need to do 3.2 times 6.5, and that will all be multiplied by 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 4, so we can work that bit out separately. So we need to do 3.2 times 6.5. Start off that by just doing 32 times 65. 5 2s are 10, 5 3s are 15, plus 1 makes 16. 2 6s are 12, 3 6s are 18, plus 1 makes 19. Add those to that gets us to 2080. So if we say that 32 times 65 is 2080, 3.2 times 6.5, that'll make it 10 times smaller, that'll make it another 10 times smaller, making our final answer 100 times smaller. So that's going to give us 20.80 times 10 to the power 3 plus 4 would give us 20.8 times 10 times 10 to the power 7. But that's not quite standard form yet, is it? Because we've got the decimal point in the wrong place. It needs to be 2.08. Now because that's making it 10 times smaller and we want the same number, we're going to need to compensate by making it 10 times bigger at this end by popping an 8 on there. Last question for rewriting a basic one. 0.21 times 10 to the 6 in standard form. So standard form begins in the units, doesn't it? That's made it 10 times bigger at the moment. So because that's made it 10 times bigger, to keep the number the same size, we need to divide that by 10. So take 1 off the power 6 to give us 5. So here's your next question, which we're going to do with calculators, because we've just done some practice of doing it without. If you want to do the practice of doing it without a calculator, by all means have a go at doing that. But I just want you to think about what needs to happen, what you would do to answer this. So how many times larger is something than somewhere else? How many times larger is Australia than Cyprus? You need to divide Australia by Cyprus. So that means we're doing 7.7 times 10 to the 6 divided by 9.3 times 10 to the 3. Put that in your calculator and you should get something looking like this. So press S to D on that and it's giving us 827.95. So I'm just going to write that down, 827.9. In fact, that's as much as I'm going to write down because they want the answer to the nearest whole number. So the 9 means that would round up to 828 Cypruses almost would fit into Australia. Next question. The area of the Pacific Ocean is 3.61 times 10 to the 8. Have a go at that one. And actually I'm going to show you how I would do this without a calculator, because this is an adding one and we haven't done any of those. So if you've got 3.61 times 10 to the 8, we want to add 8.51 times 10 to the 7. Well, that's a factor of 10 times smaller. So I'm going to, if I turn that, I could say that's the same as 0.851 times 10 to the power 8, couldn't I? That means I can add them together, still in standard form. Like that, which is going to give me a 1 there. 5 and 1 is 6, 6 and 8 is 14, 3 and 1 is 4, giving me 4.461 times 10 to the power 8. And that is something we need to be able to do without a calculator. Last question, again without a calculator, please. Have a think about this one. You know distance, speed and time. So distance, speed and time. We shouldn't say distance over speed times time like that, should we? But it is the easiest way to remember it. In fact, the other way is that you've got speed is equal to distance, because that's your kilometers, divided by seconds is your time. And from that, we need to know the time. So if I times by time, divide by that, that tells us that time is also distance divided by speed. So we need to do 78 million kilometers divided by 3 times 10 to the power 5. So all I'm going to do is divide the 78 by 3. So that goes twice with 1 left over, it goes 6. And then divide it by 10 another 5 times. So it equals 26. And then dividing it by 10 5 times would look like that, wouldn't it? Is that standard form? Not quite. It should be 2.6, shouldn't it? And if that's got 10 times smaller, this gets 10 times bigger, so it'll just be to the negative 4. Although can that make sense as an answer? It can't make sense, can it? It can't be that quick to get here. So what mistake have I done? And the mistake I've done is I haven't written 78 million at this point, have I? That should have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 78 million. So this divided by 3 is 26 million. So actually it should be 26 million times, I'm just going to write mil in there, times 10 to the minus 5. So that's what I need to divide by 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means 260 seconds. And answer in standard form means 2.6, not times 10 to the negative 4, but to the power 2. Because that sounds more about right. I'm pretty sure it is about 8 minutes for light to get from the sun to us. So that seems reasonable. 260 seconds, what's that? 3.5 minutes. Yeah, from Earth to Mars, not going to be quite as fast, so that seems about right. Don't worry about that little dot that's there. Let's make that into an equal sign. Alright folks, I hope that made sense. If that's taken you more than an hour, then that's as much as you need to do today. If not, do a bit more of the other questions on the sheet. And otherwise, keep them as a revision exercise for later. Alright, cheerio, see you not tomorrow, but is it? Yeah, it'll be Friday, won't it? Okay.